Dude, what's going on?
Hello, and welcome to the Los Pollos Hermanos family.
Super Smash Bros. Is one of the most popular fighting games in video game history because it's a celebration of video games. The magic of seeing your favorite video game characters joining Super Smash Bros. So that they can fight against other video game characters has always been such an amazing concept, and of course it has proven to be quite successful. But sadly, ever since the DLC run for Smash Bros. Ultimate ended, with the addition of Chris Thorndike being added into the game, let's just say that two companies had an idea to copy Smash Bros. Success, which were both Viacom and Warner Bros. Viacom made a Nickelodeon fighting game known as Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 1 and 2, and Warner Bros. Made Multiversus, which had all of Warner Bros. Owned franchises that they have. Guess which one suffered the worst fate? But how? How did Multiversus, a game with so much potential, fail so horribly if it was a free-to-play game? Why weren't people very interested in playing the game? And how did Warner Bros. Manage to lose $100 million in the process because of this game alone? Well, to answer those questions, we have to go all the way back of May of 2022, when the game was first revealed to the public. When the game first came out, it was free to play. It had a total of 17 fighters, from DC Comics, Cartoon Network, Looney Tunes. The rest are from movies and shows like The Iron Giant and Game of Thrones. There's one original character for this game alone, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But when this game came out, it wasn't completed. Like, it wasn't finished. This was actually the beta. Like, bro, finish the game before you actually release it. The beta itself was fun, but the problem was that it was a beta, the game wasn't finished, and the game forced you to actually buy the fighters themselves, which weren't cheap. Each fighter cost $10, not to mention the skins, which also cost $20. That is a lot of money. Buying the whole roster comes around at least $150 when it comes to the first season, which is not worth it. The same goes with the skins, which sure, they look cool, but still not worth it. Gameplay wise, it was fun and quick. It wasn't as polished as Smash Bros, but it didn't need to. As long as it ran well and played well, that's all that matters. As the summer of 2022 went on, we got some more fighters like LeBron James from Space Jam 2, Rick and Morty, Gremlins, and Black Adam, which was of course only put into the game because Black Adam was coming out around that time. So that brings us in a total of 23 fighters in the beta, which around this time the game was in its first season. It was still being played, but it wasn't as popular as it was when it first released, but it was still okay. People were still playing the game, coming back to it because of these added fighters. And then the game shut down for an entire year in 2023. I am not joking when I say this. You could not even access the game, even if you paid for the skins and the fighters. To put it simply, the game was unplayable and you had to wait early next year to even play the game itself. So what was the shutdown for? Personally, I thought that it was shutting down because, to fix bugs and maybe add more characters to the game. I could definitely see that happening. Now personally, I did play the game on Steam, but I tried playing it on my PS5 and the loading screen would just keep on going and the game would never start. Like, at all. That's how terrible it was on console. So I could definitely see this kind of problem being fixed when the game would return. In May, the game would finally return with 3 more fighters: Joker, Agent Smith from Matrix, and Jason. These were pretty surprising fighters, I'm not gonna lie. And I think it was pretty cool adding in Jason into this game because he doesn't really have a company that truly owns him, so I'm surprised that he's put it into this game at all. But still pretty cool inclusion. We got 2 more fighters, Banana Guard from Adventure Time, and Marvin the Martian from Looney Tunes. I think the other 3 were way cooler, but sure. When the game came back in May, it did very, very well with returning players coming back to play the game again. But once it hit September, the game was basically on its deathbed. and look at where we are now. Honestly, this was expected. Now, I did say that the game did just fine when it came back in May, so what was the problem? The problem was the amount of greed around the game itself. There was this new currency known as Gledium that were like coins throughout the game, like this campaign that you play in the game so that you can earn yourself some skins and fighters so that you don't actually have to pay with real money for the fighters and skins, but you gotta do a lot of grinding throughout the game to even receive a good amount of currency for the game. Not only that, but the amount of currency that you would get would barely get you anything that you would actually want. Like, you just have to have a stupid amount of these coins to actually get a fighter. As of the time of me recording this video, since Season 5 for Multiverse, there are at least 35 fighters in the game itself. And if you buy all of them, that goes around $350 for all of them. That is not worth it. Especially when it comes to a game like Super Smash Bros. That has well over that number when it comes to its roster. It's just not worth it. Even then, the roster itself is mediocre at best. Sure, there's some cool characters, but it feels like a lot of characters are just missing from this roster. Not to mention the leaked fighters for this game, like Green Lantern, Flash, Ben 10, Harry Potter, 11 from Stranger Things, Scorpion from Mortal Kombat, Emmett from the Lego movies, and Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Gandalf was leaked way before the game even came out, so I have no idea why he's still not in the game. I'm surprised that Daffy isn't even in the game at all, neither is Scooby. Both of these characters should have been added to the game since the very beginning, but for whatever reason, they were never added to the game, so yeah, that's pretty sad. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot to mention Raindog. So Raindog is an original character that was made specifically for Multiverse, which is kind of pointless because Warner Brothers has a variety of characters when it comes to their properties, so putting in an original character was just pointless. Not only that, but they also wanted to put more original characters, which never happened and still is not going to happen. Even if Multiverse put in some fighters after the first season that were pretty cool, they would still put in a fighter that nobody asked for. The problem was that it wasn't polished and it overall just felt worse, especially the controls and the physics when it came to the base game. Now, who can we blame for the failure of Multiverse? Some are saying player first games, which maybe, especially when it comes to that relaunch and just the physics of the game itself, but let's be honest with ourselves, it has to be Warner Brothers. I mean, it makes the most sense to me, especially when it comes to Warner Brothers wanting to tax write-off on the Looney Tunes and DC movies. If you know, you know. Not only that, but I think Warner Brothers saw Multiverse as a product first instead of a game. And when I played Multiverse when it relaunched in May, it definitely felt like that. Overall, Multiverse was a platforming fighting game that had a lot of potential, but failed because of Warner Brothers' greediness and overall just disappointment. A lot of bugs were just never fixed in the end, and it was just a disappointing experience for a lot of people, including myself. Warner Brothers got what they deserved, but it's sad seeing a game like Multiverse, a live service game that's gonna shut down in a couple of months like if it never happened. I don't see Multiverse progressing when it comes to adding in new fighters, cause at this point it's not even worth it. At least I can say that I had fun playing the game. It wasn't anything amazing, but at least I had a good time playing it. But most of that came from the beta. I'm pretty glad that a game like Marvel Rivals didn't suffer the same fate as this game did. And yeah, I'm gonna play that right now. So anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.